Welcome to the final session of Ignite. This is day number 18. So congrats if you stuck with this the whole time. We're excited that for people graduating, you're getting your company dollar waived on the first transaction you close after completing Ignite. So big congrats to everyone here. My name is Allison D. Michelle. I'm the team leader of KW Elevate in Strongsville, and joining me today is Erin Boer.
It's me.
So Erin is a MAPS coach, newly minted as a MAPS coach a couple months ago. So it's a privilege to be with us, have her with us today. And this is her zone, planning for your future, this topic today. This is her sweet spot, and she's really passionate about helping people grow in their businesses and as business owners. So every day, if you are like most people, you feel like this level of education is like drinking from a fire hose. And there is so much more that you'll be learning throughout your real estate career. So we're just going to kind of recap what you've learned and focus on planning for your future. So every day, I think no matter how many years you've been in the business, you're going to continue to learn something new. And so being learning based is really important as you progress as a professional, and you will continue to get better. So we're going to touch on today the importance of running a smart money business to achieve success, and then talk about some different pathways available for designing your future plan at KW. Come on in. Hi. We referenced these books quite a bit. So the MREA, or the Red Book, this is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. This is like the red meat of KW training that has the foundations to teach you to run a very successful and profitable business. And we also talk about shift quite a bit. So if you hear us say the MREA, just for clarity, that's what we're talking about today. So there's a line in the MREA, and it says, to have a better chance of hitting a target, aim high. And so aiming high begins when we think big, and that's what today is about. So when we talk about mindset and choosing your mindset, I want to read a quote. How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters. What does that mean to you? Feel free to unmute. How you think matters, and how you think in the beginning really matters.
This is Kathleen. I just don't want to be mediocre. I want to really go at it running, not just giving it a half. What do I want to say? I just really want to go after it with all that I have, and look for resources, look for model, find a mentor, talk to them and get ideas, and talk to different agents to find out what they're doing. Work with those that are really selling high and who's willing to share with me and give me ideas, and incorporate some of my ideas as well that I've done in the past from my own past experiences.
I love that. So I can hear that you're learning based. You're looking to associate with other people that have done successful things, and you're going to watch that track record of success to learn what you need to learn.
Yes.
Anything else? Anybody else want to share?
So I haven't jumped in here yet, but it will be so much more enjoyable for us teaching if you guys will take yourself off mute and participate, because I don't want to just stare at my face on Zoom.
I like staring at your face.
Oh my gosh, I do not enjoy this part.
So I want to talk about mindset, because mindset, there's a bold law that says you can't control the first thought that pops into your head in the morning, but you can control the second. And so sometimes we may wake up on the wrong side of the bed and we feel like we're on the struggle bus, and mindset is the number one foundation to having a successful day. If you're in a funk and you stay in the funk for the whole day, it's going to affect everything, how you show up for your family, for yourself, for your clients. So the importance of mindset obviously is not just applicable to your business, it's every single day. So if you turn in your participant guide to page 20.3, that talks about your mindset. So there's 2 questions on that page. So just take 2 minutes and kind of do a self check, go internal for a second. Ask yourself, what's your mindset? Are you aligned with your heart? And are you ready to take action to have a successful day?
Tell me the page again.
20.3.
I was busy trying to get my app together.
I was gonna say, do you need help?
No.
It's gonna get intimate in here.
I think I was chilling. Is she in?
Okay, it's interactive.
That I can find.
So the question is, where's your head? Where's your mindset right now? And do you feel aligned with your heart? Yes, Howard's the best way.
Guys, we're in our Medina office today. It's a little
Right.
conference room today, so we're adapting as more people come in late.
Go ahead, say
And everybody showered today, so we're really lucky.
That's always good. That's always good.
Yeah.
Hi. I think you get one of those.
We're gonna need one more chair.
Like parking lot's like bigger.
Oh, yeah, you're.
I was struggling. Took me all the way around.
I'm gonna mute us for a second while we figure out our cluster.
Okay, thank you for your patience. We're back. So let's have real talk about mindset. If you wake up and you are in a funk, what do you do to get out of your funk? What do you tell yourself? Do you have affirmations, or if you have limiting or beliefs around affirmations, do you have a favorite quote that sets you on a better track when you're waking up on the wrong side of the bed? Real talk.
Have a specific affirmation, but I'll talk to myself. I talk to myself all the time. And I'll say things like, all right, Rhonda, look at how much you have, look at how much you have to be grateful for. Like, stop it. You know, just take a look around, and then I really do look around, see what I'm thankful for and what I can do to, you know, just to get myself out of that funk. But I'm always talking to myself.
I talk to myself too. Rhonda talks to herself too, and she starts with gratitude. That's popular all year long, not just in November when we focus on gratitude. And I think it's a quick reality check to realize a lot of our problems are first world problems.
Yeah.
We've got running water, we've got indoor plumbing. Some people have no place to live. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. So if you have that perspective shift, that alone is powerful. And I think starting with gratitude is an amazing way to change your mindset. Anybody else?
I recently, my team knows that I'm a big Brene Brown fan, and her most recent book, Atlas of the Heart, I think is what it's called. Talking about gratitude, she said, when you acknowledge gratitude and say it out loud, it takes you from being like a spectator in your life to like an actual participant. So you're acknowledging the good things that are in your life instead of just like watching them go by. And it is like psychologically, it changes the game. So I actually have a book list I'll send at the end, and that one's on there. So big Brene Brown fan.
Yeah, she's great. She does some good, did she do a TED Talk? That
Yeah,
it's
her big thing is about vulnerability and like guilt and shame is where she got like her platform, but now she's gone a lot of different directions and
yeah.
she's a smart lady.
I think the other thing is that sometimes you just need another person to confide in. So speaking about vulnerability, it's okay to not be positive all the time or to feel like you have to be fake. It's more liberating and more real to be authentic with people. And if you have a trusted person, whether that's an accountability partner or a coach or just another agent that you like, especially for people that are single agents and you may not be on a team and have that group of people to support you naturally built in with a team. If you just talk to somebody that you trust and say, today sucks for me, like I'm really struggling, that person, if they get to know you, will know what you need to hear to kind of help lift you up and encourage you.
Well, sorry, I'm chatty Cathy. Well,
It's all right.
so also like, if you went to the cross country event yesterday, cross country mortgage, they were talking a lot about your story and we hear a lot about that in business. And sometimes I think you have to watch what you say, like what in 6 months ago, the story was, oh, there's nothing for sale. Like there's no inventory. And then you like have to, go in that MLS and you're like, well, there were 400 home sales yesterday. So is that true? Is that really the story? Or is that the story that I'm telling myself? So having like that reality check of having the facts and numbers that sometimes can sway our story a little bit and bring us back to reality.
Yeah, I love that because your tone and what you're saying affects your clients and everybody around you. So how many of you have heard of the Y4C2Ts in Keller Williams world of acronyms? That is our belief system. So we're just going to read what the Y4C2Ts stands for. W is win-win or no deal. I, integrity, do the right thing. The first C, there's 4 C's. The first C is customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. 2 T's. So the first T is teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. E, equity, opportunities for all. That was recently added in the past year and a half or so. And then S, success results through people. So that's our belief system. The other thing that is kind of foundational Keller Williams teaching is the 6 personal perspectives. So the 6 personal perspectives, if you look at the MREA, when Gary Keller was identifying the ways that top producers have like learned to net $1 million, he interviewed hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents across the country. And he had his notebook and he and Jay Papasan wrote the MREA in 9 days from his notebook. And so it was real conversations and they found the similarities between all of these people that learned how to net $1 million. So the 6 personal perspectives was based from conversations that Gary had with top thinkers and top performers and all these people that, were 10% better than everybody else in their field and just the way they thought. So the 6 personal perspectives, number 1 is commit to self-mastery. Self-mastery is the possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that make you the master of you. When you commit to self-mastery and achieving that, you know what your goals are, you know your strengths and your weaknesses and how to work with both of those to reach your goals. So if you're weak in an area, you might choose to not focus on that and have somebody else, like a person or a system, come in and help you get better at that, and you focus on getting better at your strengths. Number 2 is commit to the 80-20 principle. How many of you have heard of the 80-20 principle from the one thing? 20% of your activities will yield 80% of your results. And that applies to a lot of different things. Like we will generally wear 20% of the clothing that we have, or sit on 20% of our couch, the same 20%, or pick the same meals over and over again. So it's the same with your real estate business. What's the most important thing? What's the 20% for your real estate business? Lead gen. Number 3 is move from E to P. E stands for entrepreneurial. and P stands for purposeful. So all of the people that are real estate agents that I know have some level of entrepreneurialism in them. You're business owners. You decided to take a risk to not have a boss and do real estate. So you have your natural talents and your skill sets, but at a certain point, you're going to hit your natural ceiling of achievement. And at that point, to break through that level to get to the next level, you need a person or a system to come in and help you get purposeful. And it's outside of what your normal skill set is. So that's what E to P is. Number 4, make being learning based the foundation of your action plan. You all are learning based because you're here at Ignite and you realize there's things that you may not have known that after this class, after the completion of 18 days of Ignite, you probably feel a little more confident than you did starting at day 1. So being learning based, you're constantly pouring in knowledge about things you don't know about. So that can be with books. So we've got lots of book recommendations for you. It can be a podcast. It can be finding an expert or a professional that you don't know that you would like to get to know and having some questions ready to go to interview that person. Most people that are leaders are willing to share their knowledge. Number 5 is remove your limiting beliefs. And this is a powerful perspective because we all have that inner voice inside of us that says, you can't do that. You're not good enough for that. That is a choice. Those limiting beliefs are designed to keep you out of harm, but they're not real. They're not real. They're liars. So your limiting beliefs are there to protect you, and specifically around lead generation. If we talk about this for your real estate business, when you go to pick up the phone, it might feel like it's 100 pounds. When you go to do some lead gen calls, you're not going to get hurt if you make that call and somebody tells you no. There's not going to be an ambulance coming to get you. No, you're not actually going to be harmed by that. We love getting no's, right? Like that's getting us closer to yeses.
I'm always so worried about how somebody's gonna feel when I call them and they're aggravated or whatnot. But then I changed my mindset. What if you were that call that person needed that day? So, I mean, not necessarily calling somebody and asking for business, but like just calling to see how they are, what's going on, what's new in your life. Like, do you need to talk for a minute? We're so text and email heavy, and sometimes that call is just what somebody needs.
I love that.
And then
Kristen
sometimes you
Stillwell.
find that person that's totally whole.
Yeah.
They're out
But
there.
At the end of the
That's
day,
you.
you have something to laugh about, and then you maybe just push them off next quarter and don't call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Christine Sewell out of the Elevate our Market Center does a really great job of always saying like being a really great person first and a realtor second. And she's built her entire brand off of that. So it's not always like reaching out with a touch of, do you know anyone that wants to buy, sell, and invest in real estate? It's how are you doing? Or I saw on Facebook you're having a baby or whatever. And I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that overwhelming and scary. I think we make it more complicated than it is.
Yeah, that's huge. And especially in the month of November, if you change your mindset to say, I'm not lead generating, I'm making care calls. If you are focused on succeeding in this next shifting business, your job is to find them motivated. Not everybody's going to be motivated. If they're cussing you out on the phone, they're not motivated. But if you wake up and you say, I am here to help people, and my phone call can be the thing that helps that person that I'm calling, you might not know who it is, but that'll help you get to the next phone call and the next phone call. Number 6 of the 6 personal perspectives is be accountable. So accountability, depending on your experience with accountability, can feel punitive and it can feel like you're getting punished or chastised. That's not how accountability is designed. Accountability is supposed to be another person. You're not going to be accountable to yourself at a high level. It's another person holding you accountable and asking questions about, are you on track to achieve your goals based on what you told me your goals were? I can't tell you what your goals should be. You have to decide what they're going to be. And if you achieve those goals, how that impacts your life. If you've got a goal to make $100,000 in real estate, what does that do for your life or your family? What changes if you achieve $100,000? I get that. So if you tell me this is the most important thing in the whole world that I achieve this number and get $100,000, awesome. I'll hold you accountable to that. And it's for your own good. So that's the design of accountability. So Erin, as a MAPS coach, gets to do that with her MAPS clients. And It's meant to help you grow and be a true gift. It's a good thing to have accountability.
I would say too, like one of the questions that we ask, and we, I'll stop referencing our team, but I have Jess sitting right here, so out of the corner of my eye. Like we talk about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how accountable can I hold you? And I would say very rarely do I get somebody that says 10 out of 10. And then why can I not hold you? And the thing, people think accountability is something negative. Like I'm going to belittle you or I'm going to yell at you. That's not accountability. That's someone being a jerk. So accountability just says, you told me that this matters. We're doing this for your family. Who are we letting down if we don't hit this goal? And a lot of case, it's kids, right? Like you're messing with their future by not picking up the phone and making a simple phone call. So accountability is not bad. I think we need to like rewrite the script about what that word means.
Yeah,
And it is okay to have 10 out of 10 accountability.
I love accountability. I've had a coach since
I mean,
I've
it
been
makes
in
me,
this
it
role
makes
and
me sweaty
before.
sometimes.
I'm sweating
but,
now. I'm sweaty right now. It's hot in here.
Like it is uncomfortable, but you know what they say about that? It means you're growing.
That's right. So if you turn back in your participant guide, back to session 4, find your value proposition that you wrote. I think we've touched on that a couple of times in a series of different classes throughout Ignite, but turn back to that value proposition. And once you find it, back in session 4,
Good page.
4.3. 4.3, is that right? 4.3, somewhere 4.9, maybe 4.3, 4 point something. So your value proposition, you have to believe it first and foremost before you can sell that to anybody else. I know if somebody is passionate about something, I get passionate about it with them, even if it's something I'm not interested in, but if they're excited, I get excited. So with your value proposition, we're going to take a couple of minutes and go back through, and as you've learned information throughout this series of Ignite classes, you may realize that there's something that you want to add or tweak or retract from your value proposition. So take a couple of minutes and you're going to ask yourself these 2 questions. Does my value proposition truly reflect who I am, the value that I bring, and the benefit my clients will experience in working with me? And number 2, am I confident sharing my value proposition with my contacts? And if not, how can I make it easier to express my value? So you can think of it like your 30-second elevator pitch or something, and I think in bullet points. So whatever helps you, if it's easy to remember. You're not just doing this for an activity. This is something to set you up to succeed and differentiate yourself. And then the mission of the team is something that you had said you wanted to talk about.
Sure. So we're gonna give them a minute to tweak them, and then is
Yeah.
anyone gonna be brave enough to share? I'll put that out there now. So,
You still do a timer in here. Three minutes for this. All right, we're gonna reel back in here. So after you reread and revisited your value proposition, did anybody make any changes or additions? Who's the brave soul that would like to share their value proposition?
So mine's more so like a statement that like, I would say to like someone that I was working with. So I just said, I'm in the business of helping you turn the page and start a new chapter in your life. And I will go above and beyond to help you achieve your goals.
Okay. Love that.
I like hers, but I'll share mine. I mean, I think I was blank from last time. But I don't know how to word it. I need to like word it differently. Yeah, but I just basically my goals, not that I would say it to someone this way, but I'm here to help you identify and achieve your goals. Any pitfalls you come across will never be together. But that's not how I would say it to someone. I was like trying to sell myself too, but that's my goal. It's just not.
That's interesting. If that's not how you would say it to someone, is it different if you're talking to a person versus if they're reading it in print?
Yeah.
Does that make a difference of how you would word it? Or are you going to be telling people more, or are they going to be reading it more often? There's no right or wrong answer. I don't know. If you're talking to somebody at a listing appointment, or if you work with buyers primarily, why are they going to pick you over anybody else? And it takes a while to refine this. This is not something that's quick and easy. You have to look at everybody else that's out there and say, it doesn't matter about them. What is special about me? What can I deliver to my people that's a different experience and next level, elevating the experience? Anybody else from Living or Legacy would you like to share?
No, we're still redoing ours here.
Okay. Okay. We're not going to solve all of the value proposition issues today, that's for sure.
Thing that I'll say to my buyers,
Nope, we're all set here.
Okay, thank you. We've got one more person that wants to share in our room here.
oftentimes if I've shown them a few houses, they'll say like, oh, I'm sorry, like, I feel bad dragging you out. And I'll say, please don't be sorry. Like, this is my job. I love finding, I love this part of it. We're on the hunt to find you your perfect, your dream home. And this is my job. So please don't ever feel like you're putting me out. Like, this is what we do. This is what I do.
I love that. You're there to work for your client, help them get that wow factor. Can you guys hear the people in this room as they're speaking? No? Okay, we'll talk loud. We'll talk loud.
I'll also say that I think that it's something of our culture to downplay, like complimenting ourselves or having a high opinion of ourselves because you don't want to come across, for lack of a better word, like cocky. And we are in the business of sales, and I think it is okay to know that you bring high value and expressing that in a tactful way. So don't downplay, like, I'm the best, like I'm the best fit for you. I'm going to, having that and believing it to your core. There's a tactful way to present that.
The other thing I would say is that sometimes if we're working for family or friends, we might not bring it all and pull out all the stops like we would for a client that we don't know. Don't treat those people differently. Prove to them that you are the expert, because you need to prove it to them, because sometimes they're the most difficult people to work with, your friends and your family.
Yeah.
Because if you set the stage at the beginning of the conversation, if you're doing a needs analysis with a buyer or a seller, treat them like you would anybody else. That helps with streamlining your process. And then you can know you checked all of those boxes. They will treat you differently at the beginning of the transaction versus if you're like, all right, let's just sign the paperwork, and don't treat it casually, is my point.
Yep, definitely can say it's an easy script. Like during this process, I'm going to take my daughter, sister-in-law, niece hat off. And for the next however long during these, real estate moments, I'm just your real estate agent. I'm going to treat you the same way that I would treat any other client, because that's what you deserve.
Nice. Sounds like you said that a time or two.
I've learned the hard way.
All right, so we're going to move on to our big life, and that's going to carry into our big why. So do you want to share about your visualization?
Sure. My visualization. I think I was going to talk about it like our mission, vision, value, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So kind of going in with your value proposition, whether you're on a team, whether you're an individual agent, you have to know like why am I doing this, which does tie into your big why to a certain degree, and having like a purpose for your business. So our mission statement is to build lives worth living by educating ourselves and others how to build abundant wealth via real estate. So I would say we had a big mental shift over the last couple of years that if we sell our real estate business, what's someone gonna pay for it? Maybe a couple $100 for my database. Like most businesses, like you can sell them, they're tangible. There isn't necessarily a value to being a real estate agent outside of building a wealth portfolio. And I mean, look at how many people in their day-to-day life are living in debt, that can't reach their big why, that are struggling. I mean, I hate to go too deep, but finance is the number one reason people get divorced. Like money is a powerful thing. So we tied it into our mission statement that if we can teach ourselves and everyone around us how you can build life-changing wealth via real estate, like that to me is a pretty powerful mission statement. And it goes beyond like, I'm just going to sell you your next primary residence. So thinking about that for you guys and in your business, how do you want to impact the world? How do you want to make a difference? I think that that is a lot different, and it's going to help you get out of bed on the really crummy days when you're like, why am I doing this?
Mhm.
And then our vision statement is to be more than your real estate agent of choice, but also your community connector. So stuff of that nature, you know, like where, yes, the real estate is a byproduct of what we're doing, but it isn't really our main purpose. And then our values are grit and gratitude, excellence and trust. So I would encourage you kind of to sit back, and you're not gonna figure it out today, and it's gonna be a work in progress, and your mission statement might change. It might look different 2 years from now, but knowing and having it visual, maybe it's the background on your phone, it should be in your office. Like this stuff needs to be like ingrained in your brain.
I think an easy exercise as you're kind of thinking through what this looks like is if you go online, you can look for a list of adjectives or descriptive words. And as you read through, some of them will resonate with you and you're like, yeah, that's me. Like that, I believe that about myself, or that's who I want to be. And that's somebody you could grow into as part of your value. But if you need some inspiration, if this doesn't come naturally to you, that's a really easy way to kind of get the brain juices flowing.
For sure. Yeah, again, like having it visual. I mean, our mission statement, I can say it off the cusp. I need to work on our vision statement, that one, so we've just put together. But even like grit and gratitude, like we put it as our value because like it started being even the number one thing when we were looking for agents on the team. Do they have grit? Do they have gratitude? Sounds like we can make it work. So those things are so entrenched in our culture, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing for your own business.
So let's talk about our big whys, and big whys don't have to be huge. They just have to be big to you, big enough to get you out of bed and get you motivated. So your big why is big.
Looks like someone just got it.
It's important. He went to Strongsville. We're gonna chair. Sorry.
The entrance of shame.
Your big why is big. It's important to you. It gets you out of bed every morning, excited to get busy. It brings you energy and focus. It's the ultimate turbocharger, and it's already present even if you haven't thought about it. So it can be really big or really small, but I would say it's incredibly personal. And most of the time, someone's big why has to go back to their kids or their family. So if you have a goal for yourself and you look a year ahead, and if you're sitting there and you haven't achieved it, how do you feel? What's going to cause you to have enough pain or motivation to get up every day and be consistent, even when you don't feel like it? So sometimes if I have conversations, I'm a little too raw and I'm like, take your emotions out of it. Like, give me the facts that, yeah, there are emotions, but sometimes you have to take the emotions out of it and just look at the numbers. Like if you have a financial goal to be debt free, or for me, I'm still paying off some student loans. I want to get rid of those and then focus on paying off my mortgage because I like to travel. I have one son, and so I want to teach him about the world through travel and experiences to help him have perspective. I remember I was in 7th grade and we were going to a church where we did mission work. So I went to Mexico when I was in 7th grade. And it was my first time, like, and I had seen some poverty in the United States, but not like where we were in Mexico. And I remember we were in this village where we were there to do like children's ministry with the kids, like clowns, makeup. And there was this little probably 2-year-old little girl running around in a diaper, overflowing, and she had rocks that were embedded in her toes because she didn't have shoes. And she was running around trash piles. I'm like, oh my gosh, it has, I remember like where I was, the heat, everything about that. And so that changed the way that I look at the world, and having that perspective of, oh my gosh, my problems really are first world problems. How can I help other people in other countries? So I want to do that for my son. And so having debt just hinders your ability to go do things and do things well for other people as well. So that's part of my big why.
I'm not sure how we're supposed to follow that up. Yeah.
And class is over.
We're all not doing enough.
Yeah, all right. So if you turn in your participant guide to page 20.5. We're going to take a couple of minutes so you can answer these questions in your participant guide. So the 4 questions: what topics or causes are most important to you? What gives you energy and fuels you personally? What's something you would do even if you were not paid? What do you envision for yourself and for your future? So I'm going to set the timer. We're going to mute in here and take a few minutes to answer those questions. 20 more seconds. All right, so I think the consensus is in our room here is that these are not questions that you can answer quickly in 3 or 4 minutes. So earmark this page and go back to it when you can have some quiet moments with yourself and really get very real to yourself. And if you're having an answer and you feel like, that's okay, but I can go deeper, ask yourself when you write an answer, why is that important? And then you're going to write another answer and say, well, why is that important? And keep asking yourself more clarifying questions to dig deeper, to be able to get to the root of a really strong answer for yourself. These are things that are going to get you out of bed when you don't feel like it. So they have to be powerful. Would anyone like to share what their big why is?
Sure. I have 5 of them, and
I'm gonna turn it around.
3 of them are my actual children. 1 is my horse, and then of course my husband. So I've got Wyatt, Blake, Everett, Knight, and Alex. So 4 children, but 1 has 4 legs.
Okay, that's fair.
What do you want to do for them?
Just support them, it's always been embedded in me since I had Blake as 17 years old. And, I've raised Blake, he's a great kid, but he didn't have a lot of the things that my next boys will have because I didn't have the money
Right.
being so young. So, they're all my way. And now teaching Blake, so much more because he's seen 2 different lifestyles, the one where he was with a single mom struggling, barely could make her mortgage payment. Some months didn't make her mortgage payment. And then now that's not a worry of ours anymore, especially because of real estate. So they're all my why, but they're going to be taught different things and they're going to be seeing different things. But yeah, they're my why.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Anybody else in this room? I'm just giving them
Horses
a
play.
visual. Who's in our room here? Anybody else want to share from here? Hey,
I'll share my why. So,
talk loud so they can hear.
yeah, of course. So I grew up in a household where all I saw was hard work. And I also I felt a lot of love. Both my parents loved me, beyond recognition. It was always there. And as a kid, there are certain moments and situations that are impressionable upon you, in terms of how people show love, how people show emotion, this, that, and the other. But with my parents working so much, there wasn't, I felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities to bond in maybe deeper ways. So when I had an opportunity with my wife to discuss me changing careers, which was going from, 60+ hour work week, putting time and effort into, someone else's bottom line, but really emphasizing bringing other people up that I was in charge of and responsible for, moving from that type of industry to, a new uncharted territory where I was responsible for myself. And again, something that was very, there's a lot of self-motivation. There was a lot of, take charge, and all I ever knew was how to work for someone else, and put my best foot forward, but I didn't know how to work for myself well. So when I took the opportunity to come into this line of work, it gave me a really solid sense of purpose and understanding that like, this is an opportunity that I can't let go. I can't let it, deflate me or at times make me, frustrated. I have to own it, and I can't fail, because this is going to give me an opportunity to bond closer with my son. We have another one coming in December. Super excited about it, but my boy now, who said it was froggy out today?
Froggy weather.
He is, getting an opportunity to spend more time with dad. And, as a parent, I have nothing but the utmost respect for my parents, but I want to be that much better. And certain things that affected me in minute ways, but maybe long-term ways, I want to be able to emphasize on that and create a better dynamic for my kids moving forward. So
Love that.
this career will help me do that, but I have to be willing to, do the hard things, got to be willing to continue to grow within it. So that's my one thing, is to continue to persevere through this industry and make the most of it so that I can have that flex type of lifestyle that my kid deserves.
How do kids spell love? Time.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to master some time blocking.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay, enough of this touchy-feely stuff. We're gonna move on to, I'm just kidding. We're gonna move on to the financial side of running your business and a smart money business in particular. Who remembers the 6 big jobs or core competencies of a business? Of real estate business. I'm gonna read them in case you don't remember. Number 1, lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Number 2, present to buyers and sellers and get agreements. Number 3, show buyers and market sellers. Number 4, write and negotiate contracts. Number 5, coordinate the sale to closing. And number 6, manage the money. Do you have those written down in your participant guide? I was reading those kind of quickly. If anybody wants them, we can send them out. So we're going to go to number 6, and money can be a really taboo topic. And if people were raised in households where you didn't talk about money, you weren't part of financial discussions like a lot of people were when they were raised. We talk about money a lot at KW, and particularly at Keller Williams, because we're an open book company. We are extremely transparent with our financials. We've got an agent leadership council that helps make decisions about how we spend our money, so it's not top down. And we want to help our agents have a good understanding and a foundation about how they should run their businesses by making smart money moves. So if you think about real estate and how it's different from working a regular job or, where you're getting a paycheck from somebody, we're independent contractors. So if you're not an independent contractor, most of the time your employer is holding back your taxes for you. Guess what? You're your own boss. So you're holding back your own taxes, or you're not holding back your own taxes. And then you get slapped with a big tax bill. So those are things that if no one has ever taken the time to teach you, you just wouldn't know. So we're going to teach you a few things today. So let's break down, and normally there'd be a slide here, but imagine a big dollar bill, and that represents the commission that you would get if you're on the listing side, the full 6% commission. And it's not all going to you, right? 6% commission. You might be getting 3% as a listing agent. You might be getting a little bit more than the buyer's agent. So let's pretend like you're getting 6%, you're keeping 3% of that. So half. So the commission is broken down like this typically. Typically 50% of that commission is going to go to the co-op agent. About a third goes to the market center to cover your company dollar and royalty, the fees that are associated until you're capped. Roughly another third goes back into your business to cover your marketing, your operating expenses, your cost of sales, car, phone, that kind of thing. And then saving money for taxes, because that's a big deal. How many people have a business account for their businesses? Okay. So that's a really wise thing to do if you're building it like a business, because if you have a commission check and it gets deposited into, let's say, your family's checking account, you will have that perception, if you're not purposeful about what you're going to do with that money, that you get to spend all of it. And we're going to give you a 1099 at the end of the year to say, here's what you got. Guess what? You got to report that, and you're going to have taxes taken out of that. So if you have never taken an agent financials course, there is one called Agent Financials that Keller Williams offers, and it's very thorough, and it digs into what the money side of the conversation looks like. So if you turn to page 20.7 in your participant guide, you're going to see our agent friend, Jessica Campbell, highlighted. Pull it up here. All right, so using this as a guide, flip to the next page, 20.8, and you're gonna take a few minutes to complete these 4 questions about Jessica and which of the scenarios, so scenario 1 on the top, scenario 2 on the bottom, which one is financially sound and which one is unsound and why. So I'm gonna set the timer for that. Thirty more seconds. All right, so let's go through and answer these questions. In Living and Legacy, feel free to unmute. So this will be group participation here. Question number 1, is the $9,000 commission Jessica receives profit or income? Revenue. Income or revenue? Income or revenue, that's the right answer. So if you ever hear us say GCI, that stands for gross commission income. Gross is at the very tippy top of what you would get before any other splits or fees or anything else that you have to pay comes out. Your net, that's the number we're concerned about. Your net is what you keep and take home. That's actually your profit. It makes me laugh when I see agents advertise their volume, like how much they're doing in volume. You can't eat volume. You can't, like 10 million in volume. There are people that sell millions of dollars of real estate and they do not treat their business like a business. And so they're like at poverty level with how they're living. And I know you've seen that before. So smart money makes a big difference for being able to design your life. Question number 2, why is Jessica getting a check for $5,760 when her gross commission was $9,000?
Gotta pay the man.
Pay them in, until you don't have to pay them in when you cap. So you're paying your splits and your market center fees. Which scenario is financially sound? Number 2.
So
Number 2. What makes it financially sound? Rhetorical.
Separation of it personal to business.
Yeah, it's rhetorical. Yeah. Does this make sense? Is this helpful to kind of see it laid out in this way to where you should be allocating money? A lot of people are at that top graph, a lot of people, and they just don't know any better. You know better now. So the other thing to talk to your financial advisor about, or if you have an accountant that's going to do your taxes for you, they can give you tips and tricks to be able to find tax savings. If you do your own taxes, that's fine, but having a professional that is able to really look into your business and say, hey, make sure you deduct this. They can actually save you a ton of money.
Yeah.
So talk about that for your experience.
Well, this is not to negate what you said at all. Like, please don't take this wrong. I don't think doing your own taxes is the best use of your time, and I don't know that you'll advocate for yourself in the best way. And the further your career advances, real estate taxes are tricky, like being 1099. And when you reach the point where am I an LLC? Am I an S corp? Like that just like makes my brain turn into mashed potatoes. I don't even want to think about it. I want someone that's really smart to think about it for me. So who, like vulnerability, who has a CPA with a real estate focus? If you even, I don't care if you haven't even sold a house yet. I think everyone in here has, like, go have those conversations. Once you're like in the thick of your business and you're like, oh shoot, I have to go back and do this the right way. Like it's going to give you unnecessary stress. People say date your money, like in the MAPS world, because you should know, like if I asked like right on the spot, and we're not gonna, because I know finances are private, but do you know how much money you made last year? Like to the penny? Do you know like what a lead costs you on average? Do you know like each month, like, are you planning for a season to build like, and I typically make 10 grand in February. Do you know like those numbers? So unfortunately, if we don't know how we can grow. We don't know how we can plan. We don't know how we can budget, and realtors are the worst planners ever. And I am so guilty of this. I feel like for the first 5 years of my career, I was like, well, I have a checking and savings account. There's a decent number in there. I can pay my bills. Like life is good. It wasn't that good. I was paying way too much in taxes because I had like my mom's like old CPA like doing it. And I shared this the other day, vulnerability here. One day my CPA called me, and this was right when my career was starting to take off. And he said, are you sitting down? I was like, well, I'm driving. So I guess I'm sitting down. He goes, congrats on having a great year. Thank you. Cut to the chase. This is going to be bad. And he said, Erin, like, I hate to tell you, but like, you owe $50,000 for taxes. And I made quarterly payments, but I just had growth, which was good. The bad part was owing $50,000. So I don't ever want that to happen to any of you guys. And the only way to avoid that happening is to put the proper steps in place that people are going to help you get in front of that. So put it on your to-do list. I think that we have a little bit of a lull going on in our business right now, that you have the time. Don't wait till tax season.
It's pretty affordable. I have, I would say, a good accountant, and originally when I first started, it was $500, and then we added a couple other businesses, my husband and I, now we're at like $1,500 for the year.
Mhm.
And you don't pay until the end, but you budget it now. And then all year long, if I have questions like, hey, I want to get a new car.
Yeah.
What car should I buy to get a good deduction? And she, she's like, something with a chassis over 6,000 pounds. So I'm like Googling cars with chassis over 6,000 pounds just to get that deduction. So there's things you can do based off their advice. So it is a good investment for your business.
Yeah, it's a partnership. And I learned this from like Brett Tanner is a very smart Keller Williams agent. And he said every 3 years, you should take your tax return and take it to a new CPA and say, how could you have saved me money? Like, what would you have done differently? And what you're paying is such a nominal fee. If they find one savings for you, you're going to make more money paying someone to do that. So please set it up the right way. Read the book Profit First.
So good.
Pay yourself first, because we're paying everyone else and then there's nothing left for us. And then you have no business. It's a little dry. Allison suggested listening to it on Audible,
It's so much better on Audible. Mike McAllowitz, he's kind of funny.
but get your accounts in order. It's a big deal. Like that's where you do get to go from E to P, and you're really running a business, and we're not just doing this on accident.
And if you need recommendations, if you want to be nearby a CPA, ask in your Market Centers Facebook group for referrals, because we have a lot of great referrals, like in our Facebook group. If you're like, I don't know a guy, we've got a couple guys and gals that can be a great starting conversation for you. So interviewing them now before tax season gets into full swing is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, and a lot of them are doing end of year planning right now. So if you can get in now and change a couple things before the end of the year, that can help you on your taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. Gary Keller has a quote that says, money is good for the good that money can do. So what do you want to do good with your money, for your family or for other people? Ask yourself that question. So why are we in business? What is the purpose of business? To provide. So to provide, you have to have money, right? So it's profit. The answer is profit. I'll give it to you. It's one word. You are in business to make a profit. It is okay to want to make a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not selfish or greedy by wanting to do that. You can build a big life for yourself and then help other people have a big life as well.
Carrie says, we want to make $1 million, we want to net $1 million, and then we want to give $1 million. You can't give if you can't even, your cup has to be full first.
I don't have this. No. Do you guys have the graph called the flow of money in your participant guide? Since we don't have the.
It's not a graph, it's a page.
Do you see, it's like, it looks like this. Do you have anything like that? Okay. So this, and I know you can't read it, I'm just gonna explain what this looks like. So the flow of money traditionally is on this side here, it says income, what goes in, expenses, what goes out, and profit at the bottom, what's left over. On the other side here, they flip-flop that. So they say profit, what's your goal? Expenses, how can I minimize expenses to maximize my net income? And the bottom is income, how many homes do I have to sell to hit that profit goal? So in KW, we've got, we'll talk about this in a second, we've got the economic model, which it's a simple math formula. If you haven't had many sales under your belt, you might not know what your average commission is. We've got an average commission for the market center that you could use, but it reverse engineers the numbers. So you say, here's my profit goal or my net income goal. How many deals do I have to sell to be able to get to that number? And it breaks it down to how many conversations you need to be having per day with people to set appointments, to then convert to deals, to then have closings. So page 209 or 20.9. That is the flow of money. So this is going to be the next activity. So if you look at the flow of money, you may not have thought much about this, but we're going to take a few minutes to answer these questions. So the first one is profit. How much money do I intend to have in my bank account at the end of the year? And that can be the end of this year. 2020 is not over yet. We've got a couple months.
Yeah.
Number two, income. How many homes do I need to sell to achieve my profit goal? And expenses. How can I minimize my expenses to maximize my net income? So take 2 minutes and answer those.
10%, you're gonna have to sell a lot of units.
Right.
So at some point too, when you know your value proposition, you can charge your investors a minimum commission. That is a permission for them to get your resources, because it sounds like you're doing a great job if you're having 3 in the pipeline at all times. But you also have to know your worth. $1,000 per deal, like you're probably worth more than that. And we can have that conversation separately, but there's ways that we can help you make some more money.
You're saying $1,000 after it's all said.
Yeah, that's after like the split
After.
with like.
Yeah.
the
Got it. I thought you're like, some of these investor deals, they do, they pay you like $1,000 bucks.
fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
And, you know, hopefully once like half that will change as well, so it's all just so new.
Yeah.
If she's on a team, can she add in like a fee for herself in the contract?
Depends on if the team's already charging an admin fee.
Okay.
We can talk about that. All right, so just so we're clear, we're gonna go through where our real estate income comes from. Listing income comes from transactions with sellers. Sales income comes from transactions with buyers. Referral income comes from agents who pay you a portion of their commission from the referral that you gave them. And I'm a big fan of going to big events, you know, family reunion and mega camp, just to network with other agents across the country to build a referral network. Because if you have a person that needs to sell a house in California and you've met an agent from California, you can build a really great referral relationship, even for investors. Leasing income comes from clients who use your services to help them find a property to lease. All right, so we're going to move into the types of expenses. There's 2 types: cost of sales and operating expenses. Cost of sales only occurs when you have a closing or a transaction. Operating expenses are costs that you're going to have all the time, regardless of whether or not you have a sale that closes. So if you're a team owner, you're going to pay a salary many times to people on your team. You have to pay rent or other, like there's so many other operating expenses you have to pay all the time. So when you are closing a transaction, you have to pay the market center your cost of sales, which is for your royalty and your company dollar. Royalty is capped at $3,000, as we know, and then your company dollar to the market center is also capped. So if you're on a team, it varies, but it's $5,000 to the market center. And then if you're a solo agent for Elevate, it's $18,000. So if you have no transactions, you have no cost of sales, just to be clear.
Let's do like a quick thing around that.
Oh, okay. Quiz, pop quiz.
Staging, expense or cost of sale? So are you paying them regardless of if the home sale sells? Yeah, expense. Listing photos, cost of expense. Admin fee to the market center.
Cost of
Cost of sale.
Sale. Your split.
Yeah.
Cost of sale.
Yeah.
So like it is like some of them are tricky and it depends how you pay, because maybe a stager maybe they're invested and they say, hey, I only get paid if the deal closes. Probably not though. They probably want paid at the time of the deal. So just kind of having that, knowing like how much is it actually costing me to list this home? When we start to have those price reduction conversations in this market, those are things too. You're going to be more motivated when it's no longer a guaranteed sale and you have $600 of meat on the bone that you paid up front.
Yeah, meat of the bone. It's a very visual.
Very
description.
visceral.
So if you, on the bottom of that page 20.9, there are best practices for a smart money business. So you can kind of read through what those are. There is a website called Keller Inc., like INK, and there are downloadable resources. So if you go to Keller Inc., go to resources, go to MREA, which Millionaire Real Estate Agent, as we know. If you find under that list of resources, chart of accounts, that will give you the way that the MREA defines where some of these numbers should go and how to classify them, just to have similar defined terms.
And I have a plug too. So this is KW approved, so I'm not going rogue, but my Maps coach created a software that's called Clarity Now. Rich Ganem in the office uses it. It's really cool. So he's basically taken everything I've learned through maps and put it into software. There is a profit and loss, like a P&L statement that is all MREA approved. So like when you put like your rent and like the different categories that are in there, it's a very inexpensive. And I believe there's like a 30-day free trial. So I'll give you guys my contact info if you want more information about that. I am the least techie person on the planet and I use it at a high level. So that's really saying something, but it takes like, you don't have to be a spreadsheet wizard with all this tracking. And if you're not in the place to hire like a bookkeeper, it's super helpful. And it is all done by MREA standards.
Great.
And I'm just gonna
It's called
insert
Clarity Now.
a random plug, because I don't know where else to talk about it. If you need health insurance, KW Perks is the website that you'll go to explore health insurance, because it's about that time of year with open enrollment.
Or you'll just get 500 texts per day.
Right. So KW Perks, it's insurance for Keller Williams agents. So you can cost compare with what you're paying now. Like I'm covered under my husband's insurance with his work. So sometimes that's
Does he need a second
Yeah.
wife?
right. But it's a big cost. So as you're looking at budgeting and talking about your financials with your CPA, that's a big important thing to talk about.
That 1099 life is painful.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
true. You're working for someone else's dream.
So there is a quote that I'm going to read and I want to get your thoughts on from the Shift book. Think and act the wage you want before you earn it. Average is as average does. Good is as good does. And great is as great does. What you do is who you become. What you don't do is also who you become. What are your thoughts around that?
I'm a big visualizer, so I love it. It just makes sense.
Rhonda says she's a big visualizer, so she likes that because it makes sense. Pretty straightforward, right?
I think it goes a line too. I started thinking this and you could argue it to a certain degree. And I still like it that how you show up anywhere is how you show up everywhere. So I think about that even sometimes at the gym. I'm like, okay, if I go here and I'm just going through the motions and I'm not putting in my best effort, is that how I go through my job? Is that how I show up for my team? Is that how I show up for my clients? Like it really does start to like mess with you a little bit. So I'm like, no, I'm going to go 110% here because it's a habit. Because anything I do, I want to give it my full effort.
Yeah. And when it comes to money, if you've never been in a position or you've never experienced what it's like to have a lot of money, you might have negative self-talk that says, I don't deserve this. I can't get this. That's not true. First of all, start acting like you're making a lot of money already. That goes to everything, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you dress. If you want to attract clients for a larger average sales price, how do you need to show up and start acting to bring those people into your world? All right, let's move to the next page in your guide, page 20.10. This is a simplified version of what the economic model is in the MREA. So it kind of gives you the math with what to do here, but we're going to take a minute and kind of fill in the blanks here quickly for yourself.
Oh, Tina shared.
Yeah, Tina had something to share in the chat. Oh, she shared a couple times. Sorry. Guys, I'm sorry. We're not monitoring the chat. Let me look through here a second. I prepare taxes during the season, so it's absolutely a good thing to have an accountant search for the best ways to apply to your unique financial situation. Many tax preparers will also give you a yearly planning packet and discuss what is best for you to do during the year. Awesome. And the title, what was
that
the most
Profit
recent title?
First?
Profit First,
I don't
Amanda.
know if that was what we.
Sorry. And Tina also said, I like waking up and asking myself, what is one thing I can implement today that my future self would do and try to add it in? I love that. Getting 1% better every day.
I don't want to give anybody else any extra work, but for taxes, we have an education savings fund here at the Market Center.
Yes.
So on every single commission check, I have Michael, wonderful Michael, take
Yeah.
20% of that whole commission check and put it into that tax saving or the education savings account that we have here. No, so I have a pretty large amount of money that's always in there.
So you're going to family reunion next year? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Ah,
well, my wife actually wants to go there. So maybe.
Wow.
let's go.
Jason
But anyway,
saying at the, can you hear him? I'm gonna
So
turn.
when the time, no, you don't.
It's okay, it's okay.
So when taxes come, I have all that, I have money sitting there, Michael just transfers into my bank account and life is easy for me.
So if you didn't
Do it
hear
that way.
the first part of what Jason says, at Elevate, we have a separate account that we can move money from a commission check, our MCA Mike, he's amazing. It's a training and education account, but if you, Mike, Jason was saying, he has 20% of his GCI after, when he gets a commission check coming in, that goes directly into that account, and that can be set aside for taxes. We've got board dues, MLS, that those things sneak up on people every single year, right after the holidays, right? So you can have that money. We will help you set aside that money for you at the Market Center. I can't speak to living in Legacy, but likely you have something like that to be able to
So-
help you.
The plus side of,
Mike, you would talk to your MCA at your office to be able to set that up.
the plus side of it is I don't have to think about it and it's there. The negative side of it and the investor part of me says I could be putting that money to work elsewhere. So I'll give that.
It's a
perspective as well.
catch
So as long as
22.
If you're not super disciplined and you want to be lazy about it
Yeah.
like me, and this is a very mindless way to make sure the money's there. If you want to actually be really awesome and go above and beyond, then you should actually do the same thing, but invest that money into some sort of fixed some sort of return, so you can be getting something for
Yeah.
yourself.
Not just sit.
Is that part of me argues it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be such a small amount anyway, but it's still something better than nothing, but.
Could you hear
there's a
that?
lot of different ways to think about that, right?
Yeah, that makes
This is
sense.
like the GIF where the numbers are like
So-
floating by.
I don't spend.
No, frugal Frank over there.
All right, so we had a squirrel conversation there. So we're gonna take 2 minutes and fill in the blanks on this activity on page 20.10 for your profit and net income goal. We're having another conversation in our room here about, don't spend the money from a commission check before you actually get it in your bank account. Yeah, don't go into debt.
Not in this market, don't do that.
Who figured out how many transactions they needed to fund their income goal? Do you guys have that number?
Right. I mean,
It's-
yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm dealing in my head, it's 25.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you can sell more deals or,
I'm literally like
You're like-
sweating. I'm like, Rhonda, what do you mean you can't do it? You could do that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no,
in
no.
2 months.
Oh.
So, oh yeah,
Oh, well, I mean, I guess, but like, no, I was like, I thought we were
The good thing about-
year to year to date.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, I don't want to sell something.
oh my gosh, right?
So I mean, the average, which will come, but it kind of just like shows you, like, okay, this is what we're growing towards. So
Right,
I really struggle with goal setting, so in a way, that's a really good way to be like, okay, so so I'm like doing open house in West, I'm like, okay, well, that'll get me buyers, how do we set a big one, so that's, step one, like steps I can take.
sorry.
Becomes a regular.
People don't like to be seen on camera. So if you're looking at your numbers, you can identify if your average sales price is lower, you're gonna have to close a whole lot more deals to be able to get that income goal for yourself. So you can focus on ways to increase your average sales price, or you're gonna have to close more deals.
I will also say that like here in Northeast Ohio, like we'll go back to my core values, like we are gritty. Like when I coach with these people across the country, like I have a new client, he sold 8 homes this year and his GCI qualified him for MAPS coaching. So he's over, $75,000 in GCI. He sold 8 homes because their average sales price is so high. So we don't have the same market. That's not an excuse. We just have to work a little differently. We're probably gonna have higher units and that's okay, but knowledge is power. So it'd be nice to only sell 8 homes and make 75 grand, but
Yeah.
I appreciate that about you. I'm okay with being bored, but
So the next slide, we were gonna show how to do commissions and command, but we're not gonna do that just because of the way we're set up today. If Lynn, our market center tech trainer, we have videos, we have recordings. She'd be happy to show you that as well, how to get paid by submitting commissions through command. So we're gonna move on from that. So just kind of recapping the things we've talked about today, what kind of takeaways or ways of thinking have you had ahas just from this conversation today? Is anything causing you to think a little bit differently than before we started?
Aaron makes you think later.
wow, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Thank you.
Did the economic model exercise make you think a little bit differently? I think it makes people not avoid what they have to focus on, because it's easy to have an idea of what you want to do, but if you don't write it out and then measure it, you don't know if you're getting better. Your goals should be measurable, you can say, okay, 3 months from now, if you need to break them down, there's another book called The 12-Week Year. And that I think is going to be really timely, especially going into the next year, because think about how different the real estate market is going to be a year from now. So you might need to chunk down your goals and say your 12-week year, that's a smaller version of having a whole year. So every quarter essentially is your year. And then you break it down accordingly for the rest of the year, because you might have to make a lot of course corrections as we go into 2023. We don't know. None of us have a crystal ball, right?
I also think coupling it with like time blocking, like this is kind of piggybacking on what I've done this week, is like having the investors is great, but like getting a bigger mindset of like, okay, the investors get this part of my time, and then after that, and marketing towards like a different demographic of clients. And,
Yeah.
So it's just making sure, unless I want to get stuck in the investor role, which I don't, it's like a great little thing, but it's not where I want to ultimately stay. So yeah, just time blocking, like Mondays is the day that I do all investor properties, and then the other days of the week I'm focused on
different things.
So Heather is sharing, if you couldn't hear, she right now is kind of in the world of investors, and generally those average sales prices are a lot lower than regular residential. And so she's saying to kind of protect her time, maybe Mondays or one day a week, she's going to allocate time, you know, for lead generation and focusing on those investors, but the rest of the days, because she's looking to kind of break out of that group and diversify who she's working with, she's going to be purposeful about focusing her time on lead generating for other groups of people. Any other ahas on smart money so far?
I think it's really important to put your blinders on a little bit, and that's why your big why, it's your big why for a reason. It's not social media's big why, it's not competing. There is a lot of smoke and mirrors in our industry and in any sales industry. So you have to know why you're doing it for yourself and for your family. And like GCI, all the, like, it doesn't matter. Even like, so Gary Keller has a top like 200, and like you're to qualify, you have to do 1.4 million in GCI. There's been a lot of talks about changing that because GCI doesn't matter. And it really is like, you should have to turn in your P&L. And are you even running a profitable business? Because Allison mentioned this earlier. There are a lot of people in this industry that do a whole heck of a lot of volume, and they're not hitting their Life by Design goals because there isn't enough profit. So just being really cognizant of that, and in a shifting market, you do want to trim the fat a little bit. You know, your sphere is always going to be the least expensive leads because those people already like you.
Yeah.
It's probably not the time to go dump thousands and thousands of dollars into Zillow.
Yeah. Word.
It's about how much you make, but how much you can keep.
It's about
That's
how much
right.
you can keep. That's right. And this is not in the content here, but we talk about expense cutting a lot. And so playing red light, green light with your money. So if you are investing in a thing, you're going to measure to make sure that you're getting the expected return on your investment to reconsider if you have to continue dumping money in that thing or if you're going to pull back. So there is an exercise that I like to have people do, and the acronym is KRONC, KRONC. This is an activity you can do with your personal and your business expenses. So K stands for keep, R stands for replace, O offset, N negotiate, C cut. So here's what you're going to do the KRONC exercise. You're going to print on paper 3 months worth of your bank statements. If you have a personal checking account or a business checking account. So 3 months of your statements from your checking account and any credit cards that you have. You're going to get 3 highlighters, 1 red, 1 yellow, and 1 green, like a stoplight, those colors. And you're going to go through line by line on every single page of each of your statements that you've printed out, and you're going to highlight things that you are going to analyze, whether you're going to keep, you know, offset, negotiate, replace, or cut. So things that are green are going to be things that you keep. Mortgage, insurance, your cell phone, your car, those kind of things that you need to have to do your job. Things in yellow would be R for replace, offset, and N for negotiate. So replace would be, let's say you have insurance for your car, and maybe you got State Farm with your parents when you were 16 and you've had it for years and years and you never looked at that. You might be able to replace your insurance with something at a lower cost. You'll still have insurance with great coverage, but you might replace it. Offset is something like maybe a car wash subscription. You want to have a nice looking car, you want it to be clean, and you go on appointments, but do you need it right now? Maybe you're going to offset that and say, for the next 6 months, I will wash my own car, or just wait for the rain. You're not going to have a car wash. Negotiate and would be like, we did this for the market center. We pay rent because we don't own the building that we're in, we lease it. So we reached out to the owner of the building and we said, hey, can we negotiate? Like, we were closing down during COVID for a couple of weeks. I think we closed down for 5 or 6 weeks. can we negotiate like half rent? So we're not paying this full amount of money. So negotiating is getting a better deal for things. Those three things in the middle are yellow. So slow it down. Red, that's the last one. Those are things that you're going to cut. So as you print out these statements, you will find things like the $6.99 app that you bought one time that you're getting charged for every month because you didn't cancel in 7 days. Maybe you've got too many subscriptions for streaming services, Hulu, Peacock, ESPN Plus, Disney, whatever. Narrow it down. You might have to cut a couple of those. But the idea is be very frugal. If you're not feeling the financial pinch now, most likely you will. A lot of people are going to lose jobs. So it's better to save the money that you're already paying out versus worrying about cutting expenses just for no good reason when you're out of desperation. So you want to cut expenses that are superfluous, that are not adding a lot of value. Don't cut the spend that's going to help you run your business or generate more business. So if your lead generation dollars are giving you good return, keep that up. Don't cut that. But everything else, like your personal expenses, if you do this activity, generally, if it's the first time, you can save 10 to 15% of your monthly expenses if you're going through this the first time. And then do it every quarter. Do it with your spouse or your partner, whoever is helping you make financial decisions. That alone might be uncomfortable because if you're the saver, you're like, I'm cutting all these things. And your spouse is like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. You might have to compromise and say, okay, let's figure out one thing or two things that we can cut. Do baby steps. So with that, we're going to move to accountability. So the importance of accountability, it keeps your mindset focused and positive. It reminds you of your big why, challenges you and makes you uncomfortable at times. And again, it's one of our 6 personal perspectives. So being accountable. So let's talk about what kind of accountability options there are. MAPS coach, family members, right? That can be a slippery slope, but if it's a solid one, a good family member. Productivity coach in the center. Go ahead.
I was gonna say productivity coach.
Yep. Another agent that you're friends with. Find somebody that's like-minded that will help hold you accountable to your goals, financial, personal, fitness. When choosing an accountability partner, you want to find somebody who is comfortable with being uncomfortable. Growth happens most of the time when you are experiencing discomfort. So if you think about going to the gym or working out, your muscles have to be broken down. Your muscle fibers are going to break down to be able to get stronger and better. So that's good. Is it painful? Yeah, it hurts. You're going to be sore. You might pull a hammy, but ultimately you're going to experience more growth.
I will also say when you're talking about Allison's like list of things to like cut, this is not a MAPS pitch at all. A lot of people are going to go to the extra stuff first. They're going to cut their coaching in a shifting market. They're going to cut their accountability if it's some form of like paid thing. And unfortunately, a lot of those people don't make it through a shifting market. You need accountability to coach more than ever in a shifting market to teach you and give you the tools to get you through. And like my personal journey with coaching. So I've been with MAPS for, I think going on 4 years. I was like, had like a $12 million like little baby team when I started, and I had been in the business for a long time. I wasn't like new. The next year we went to 20 million. The year after that, we went to 35 million. Last year we did 40 million, and we're going to do about the same, maybe a little better this year. I never would have done that without a MAPS coach, ever. And I have a music degree with no business background. And I didn't want to become a coach because math makes me sweaty and I'm not good at like Excel sheets or anything. So you have to like get out of your own way, and you have to lean into accountability. And I know this is real talk and a little doom and gloom. Like you won't survive this market shift without accountability. Like you just won't. That's my soapbox moment.
Because it's accountability to your mindset as much as it is for everything else, because it's going to get real hard. It's going to get really hard when we have a recession that's in full swing. I mean, technically by definition, we are in a recession, but not a lot of people have felt it yet. You need other people to help you stay in check and keep your mindset positive. You need that. Like as human beings, we're not designed to do life alone. We need other people to kind of surround us and help us get through. So if you turn to page 20.12 in your participant guide, it lists the different type of accountability and the people that can help hold you accountable. And the other half on the tools side, it talks about the 411, time blocking, and the one thing. The one thing, if you haven't read that, it really helps you get clarity on your goals, and it helps you get clarity on the things that you should be doing. So my favorite page in the one thing is page 114, and it illustrates the 7 circles that you have in your life. So your key relationships, your financial health, your money, health, your spiritual health. So if you look at each of those 7 circles and pretend like they're balls, some of the balls are rubber balls, like your job and your business. If you drop that, a rubber ball is going to bounce back. But your glass balls, like your key relationships and your health, if you drop those, they are not likely to be repaired as easily.
I'm
So,
sure.
sorry, balls are making you hot. It's not meant to be like 4th grade humor here. So with that, when you're looking at your time blocking, you have to look at yourself and you as a whole person, not just as a real estate agent. So when you're time blocking, look at all those different areas of your life and make sure you're time blocking things that are going to help you be healthy in other areas than just business and your job. So your key relationships, do you need to schedule a date night with your spouse, even if it's a stay at home when the kids are in bed, date night with your spouse? Or time as a family to go walking after dinner, whatever. What is happening in here?
Jason's attack.
So we've got a GPS, which stands for goals, priority, and strategies, and a 411 class happening actually at our market center on the 16th. So if you're interested, we can send flyers out to you. It's open to everybody. We have a special instructor coming in to teach that, but those are foundational Keller Williams tools, GPS and 411, that helps you break down your year, your month, and your weeks to hit your goals. So if you're taking your big goal for the year and you're reverse engineering it to hit your goals, that's what those are for. So take a minute in your participant guide and look at the people and the tools of accountability and be honest with yourself and say, what are you going to use going forward? We can talk about this, but when the rubber meets the road, what are you going to choose to use?
Just put it under your pillow.
I'm ready for
Yeah,
that.
seriously, that's.
I love reading.
So we're talking about reading and that
Yeah.
kind of plays into, we're on the home stretch here of this class. So being learning based, that plays into reading or just looking for areas in your life that you want to get better at and finding a person, a podcast, a system or something you need to pour in to improve on that area. We all do a lot of driving, right? As real estate agents. So I call it car university, where you're going to be in your car learning on a podcast or an Audible or something where you're listening or having a conversation with your accountability partner or somebody just to help you with your mindset while you're driving. So being learning based, KW has so many opportunities for learning. So I mentioned before the two big conferences that we have every year at Keller Williams, Family Reunion, which is coming up in January. In the past couple of years, we've had a hybrid option where some of it's in person, some of it's on Zoom. Family
It's in
Reunion is,
February, right?
I'm sorry, it's in February. Yes. So it's in February in Anaheim, California.
What are the dates? in
It is February, I believe it's the 18th through the 21st in Anaheim, California. It is in person only for Family Reunion. So, that is an investment. So if you have money in a training and education account, it's the flight. If you go with a group of agents, you could rent a Vrbo or something where you're sharing that. So you're not just buying a hotel room, but you're investing in your education. And the other event that we have is Mega Camp every year. That's usually held in August in Texas or Florida or somewhere where we're able to come together as a large group. So again, you're there to network, you're there to learn and have fun. We get a good group of agents that usually go to both. So it's a lot of fun. And then, we referenced two of the books that Gary Keller has written. So MREA is Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the red book. There's MREI, which is the blue book, Millionaire Real Estate Investor. We've got Shift. And then if you are interested in having investment properties or being better educated for your clients, we have a book called Flip, another book called Hold. So those are good resources. So if you want to write down any of these other classes for mindset and accountability, 6 personal perspectives, Bold, which we are having
Jason loves
in
Bold.
January. We don't have the date yet, but we've got Hudson Warren is going to be our Bold coach this year for January. So we will have details as soon as we get some more clarity on the day of the week and that kind of thing. Quantum Leap. QL, we've got 3 Quantum Leap instructors here at Elevate and they do classes. Command, if you're using Command your business online. Smart Finances, Business Planning Clinic, which that's actually happening right now at Elevate.
Ah,
Profitability Agent Financials. If you're looking to hire for your team, we have the Career Visioning class and the KPA. And then other skilled, like sales skills, there are things like train the presenter, customer experience, win-win negotiations. If you go on KW Connect, there are thousands of videos and documents that you can download basically about any topic you want and kind of see what people are doing across the ecosystem of Keller Williams. Were you
Oh,
going to
that's
add
good.
something?
does anyone in here plan to make a hire in 2023? An assistant?
He already did it. Impressive.
Okay. And as you continue to grow, do not make a hire until you've taken career visioning. Like it will save you a lot of grief and aggravation to learn how to hire the right way. It is a process. It is a time commitment. And I think in Keller Williams and the industry as a whole, like teams are a big thing and not every team has a different culture and making sure you understand what it means to bring someone into your organization and you learn that through career visioning.
That's it. All right. I think we're about done.
About done?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So we read the Y4C2Ts and the mission of Keller Williams is the last thing we're going to end on here. The mission is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. So that's our mission. And you can come up with your own mission, but know that the heart of Keller Williams is that we are here to work for the agents and make your lives as amazing as we can. And so we want you to build big lives for yourself. So use the information and these classes that you've had for the last 6 weeks to build your life by design. Woo. All right.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks, guys.
Before you guys leave, we can let them off
Okay.
really quick.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank